What if Nazi scientists built the atomic bomb first and dropped it on New York in 1944? The skyline vanished in seconds. Then came Hitler's voice on every radio. "Let this stand as our peace." The world froze. But what happened next will shock even those who've seen everything. Let's start at the beginning. The first flash wasn't in New York. It was in the Nevada desert, during what was supposed to be a routine weapons calibration test at Camp Mercury. July 4th, 1944, Independence Day. But what American soldiers saw that morning wasn't fireworks. The sky turned white for a fraction of a second. Then came the wind, a searing, skin-peeling blast that knocked men off their feet, cracked concrete bunkers, and turned observation towers to matchsticks. The sun had risen twice that day. Only one of those dawns was natural. Inside a concrete vault, 90 feet beneath the Capitol, Major Calvin Remy stood motionless, eyes fixed on a satellite image projected onto the wall. It was a grainy, black-and-white capture, hastily processed from a high-altitude British recon flight, and yet it was more chilling than any photograph he'd ever seen. A shadowy crater, melted earth, a plume rising straight into the sky, frozen mid-expansion. Overlaid text in red. Goering Sands, July 1st, 1944. They'd done it. Germany had detonated the first atomic bomb. 2 weeks earlier, Remy had been celebrating small wins. Los Alamos reported successful implosion modeling, and General Groves had authorized materials transfer for the Trinity test. Spirits were cautiously optimistic, but then came the message from British intelligence. A mole. Los Alamos had been compromised. Codenamed Feldspar, the infiltrator hadn't stolen documents. He didn't need to. He confirmed equations, nodded at the right diagrams, asked just enough questions to let Berlin know how close America was, and that was all the Reich needed. They moved faster, and without mercy. At 4:10 a.m., President Henry Wallace, who had assumed office after Roosevelt's sudden collapse, sat pale and silent in the executive situation room. His tie was half loosened. A mug of untouched coffee trembled in his hand. "They tested a bomb at Goering Sands, Western Poland," said Director Adams from Army Intelligence, voice tight. "It was a village zone, cleared, evacuated, turned into a proving ground. The blast radius was 5 miles. Yield, 15 kilotons." Wallace stared at him. "How many?" "2 more confirmed warheads," Adams said. "We believe they're already in deployment stage." Silence clamped the room like ice. Then Wallace spoke, barely above a whisper. "Where will they strike?" No one answered, because everyone already knew. 400 miles away, in a tenement apartment on the east side of Manhattan, Claire Willoughby stirred. She was a nurse, a widow, and, at that moment, a woman whose life was about to end. Sirens wailed in a pattern she'd never heard. Low, then rising, then abruptly cut. Her son, Sam, 8 years old, crawled into her lap. "Why are the dogs barking like that?" Claire held him tightly. The floor vibrated faintly. The radio was static. And then, the air changed, thickened. The light through the window turned pink. And outside, over the skyline of Manhattan, something bloomed. Not a cloud, not a plane, but a column of rising, burning death. At 7:43 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a German long-range aircraft released an atomic bomb directly over Midtown. Detonation altitude 1,700 feet, 0 point, Times Square. The shockwave leveled everything from Central Park to the Hudson River. Steel twisted, asphalt melted, bodies disappeared into light. Within 1 hour, 1.3 million dead. Within 72, 4.8 million. Back in Washington, Wallace wept into his hands. General Marshall threw up in a steel trash can, and Major Remy simply sat down in his chair, staring at the projection as a new sound filled the room. A radio frequency. Clean. Strong. A voice. In flawless English. It was Hitler. "Let this stand as our peace." And then, silence. America had just been dragged into a new kind of war, one it had already lost the first round of. Berlin celebrated under black banners, not swastikas. Something new, a stylized atom fused with the Iron Cross. They called it Der Atomische Sieg, the atomic victory. In America, there was no victory, only paralysis. Vice President Truman was sworn in under martial law. New York was sealed off, no one in, no one out. Fallout spread as far as Pennsylvania. FEMA didn't exist yet. The Red Cross collapsed trying to triage millions. Wall Street ceased to function. The dollar imploded. Europe cheered, or pretended to. But in private, even Vichy France trembled. Remy was transferred to Project Argonne, America's desperate attempt to match what Berlin had done. But something wasn't right. British intelligence intercepted a communique from inside the Reich. They had more bombs. 3 more. One was already en route. In Kansas City, a German-speaking American named Frederick Zahn was preparing to defect. He'd worked under General Groves for years. Quiet, brilliant, invisible. But now he was angry. Not at Germany. At Hitler. "The madman thinks he's God," he whispered to Remy over secure line. "He'll end the world not out of strategy, but drama. He wants a final chapter written in ash." Remy understood. There was no deterring Hitler now, only delaying him. July 20th, 1944. Chicago was the next target. The bomb fell at dawn, dropped from a long-range prototype aircraft called the Wolkensturm. The city never woke up. And that was when Claire Willoughby, alive and evacuated to a military camp in Iowa, stopped hoping. She started writing. Claire's journals became samizdat, the forbidden literature of the resistance, copied in basements, read aloud in bunkers, passed to GIs on the front lines. Her voice gave grief a spine. "I saw the sky split like skin," she wrote, "and I knew then that no one would be safe until the man who split it was." In Berlin, Joseph Goebbels delivered a speech to the world. The Führer is no longer a man. He is the steward of Earth's future. He demanded terms. America must recognize German control over Europe and Africa, dissolve its military alliances, surrender Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco to ensure peace. President Truman, shaken but not broken, responded through a single-page address. "America will burn before she kneels." It nearly happened, October 1944. Germany launched Operation Nebel, the stealth insertion of atomic commandos via submarine along the eastern seaboard. Their goal, sabotage Project Argonne, kill Oppenheimer, and detonate Washington. They failed, because of one janitor. Roger Keane, age 62, formerly homeless and working odd jobs at the Argonne facility, spotted the saboteurs planting a device beneath the main physics lab. He pulled the fire alarm and died in the blast with them. But the project survived. 1 month later, America succeeded. The first American atomic bomb, codenamed Avenger, was ready. But Truman hesitated. "Do we become them?" he asked Remy in private. "No," Remy answered. "We stop them." December 9th, 1944. Reich scientists issued a final threat. If the United States did not surrender by Christmas, Berlin would detonate 5 bombs, 1 over London, the rest scattered across America's breadbasket. That night, Truman convened a shadow cabinet. Included were generals, scientists, ethicists, and, unexpectedly, Claire Willoughby. "How did she get in?" whispered a colonel. "She earned it," Truman said. Claire spoke for 10 minutes. about Sam, about Ash, about silence, and about dignity. "You can't compromise with death," she finished. No one spoke after. December 23rd, Project Avenger launched. The target, Berlin. But at the last moment, intelligence came in. Hitler wasn't in Berlin. He was in Salzburg, with thousands of civilians, scientists, and POWs preparing a live broadcast of what he called Der Untergang der Welt, the world's descent. The final bomb. Truman changed the target. December 24th, 1944. Avenger detonated over Salzburg. Hitler died live, halfway through a sentence. The Reich collapsed within hours. Most of its officers took cyanide. Others fled into darkness. The world did not celebrate. It mourned. Claire never returned to New York. She died in 1981 in Oregon, still writing. Her final entry: "The world ended in 1944. Everything after was aftershock. And Sam? He became a teacher of history, of ashes, of hope. And every year, on December 24th, he lit no candles. He sat in silence, remembering the flash and what it cost."